viral cloth wallpaper. You can't get it done right? Get it done now. Get it today at your local baguette store. Only $19.95. Get it today.
Just get it today, dude. You have to get it. No choice. Just get it.
Thank you. Only $19.95. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About a Fursuiter, the series where we interview furries, get to know a little bit more about the furry fandom, one fursuiter at a time. So last week we interviewed Derpy the deer and got to know a little bit more about him, yes. Anyway, this fursuiter we're interviewing this week, I actually met him through the fursuiter we interviewed in season 2, Lonar the Fox. And that fursuiter is, if you can't tell by the thumbnail, is Floww. He's actually the very first Mischief Makers fursuiter I've ever interviewed, so I think that is really darn cool, to be honest. So anyway, as always, I'll ask 5 questions, and we'll get to know a little bit more about Floww. Let's get to it, yes. So the first question I want to ask you, Floww, is, why is your persona purple?
Okay, so Floww first started out as a pure black wolf with just purple eyes. But then I kind of quickly realized that having a persona that's literally all black is just terrible for any like artistics or like suit purposes. So I just started adding more like white and purple splotches to him. He's been through a few revisions, and I'm pretty happy with how he is today. If you look at the fur color on my face, even though it's a black wolf, I chose like gray for this specifically so that he would show up better on film and video. Purple, it's always been like one of my favorite colors. So and I kind of wanted a persona that was relatively simple and just had like a splash color. So purple was just the right color for it, I guess. To make the perfect choice.
The second question I want to ask my dude you, Floww, is what was your experience like with Mischief Makers?
I have absolutely loved Mischief Makers as like my maker. I got Floww about like, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and before then I knew absolutely nothing about fursuiting at all. I basically just chose Mischief Makers because I had lots of friends who were Mischief Makers, and they're based in California, which is where I also am. So that allowed me to be able to like talk to the makers, talk to a lot of people who have had their suits, and I just kind of picked them on a whim, and I was, they delivered my suit on time and for a good price. The quality is amazing. I can like take my head and literally toss it into the washing machine and just like wash it in the washing machine, and like I just kind of took all that for granted until I talked to more people, and like that's not the norm. Which like I'm so happy that like Floww can just like always be clean. I just like toss him in, he swirls, and he's like super white afterwards. I've lost so many parts of Floww, and the makers have been so good at working with me to get new parts. Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate to have kind of randomly picked a very good maker to work with, so highly recommended.
Now, the third question I have for you, my dude, Floww, is what is something unique about Floww?
So something that is unique about Floww, that's kind of a hard question because when I made him, I didn't really make him to be unique or anything like that. I just kind of made him to be a representation of myself with more qualities that I wanted to exhibit in myself. Floww is very outgoing and carefree, and he's even a little impulsive at times, and I wanted to I guess be more of that because I'm a very like analytical person. Before I act, I usually like think about all the possibilities of it, but sometimes it's just nice to like just do what you want, so.
Now the fourth question I want to ask you, Floww, is how did you and Lominar meet?
So I used to sell these drawstring bags called wag bags, and basically I would design your character's face, have it printed on a very nice drawstring bag, and sell it to people. And Lominar was one of my first customers, and even after like the transaction, we kept on talking, and we hit it off really well. And eventually, I like flew from California to New Orleans to go visit him. We spent a very nice weekend together there. When we're like going on his boat, and we were like driving it around this little bayou lake, and I almost crashed it, but he saved me from crashing his boat. He took me to many, I guess, New Orleans food places, which I've discovered is lots of deep fried foods, but it was very good. I think Lamb is like, he's definitely one of my best friends in the furry fandom, even though we haven't talked much recently. And he's just someone who I'll always like hug whoever I see him, you know? So yeah.
And now the fifth and final question is, what is one thing that is positive about the furry fandom? Yes.
I think one of the most positive things about the fandom is just how inclusive it is of everyone. And I think for better or worse, there are so many different niches in the fandom. There are so many different interest groups in the fandom that whatever you are into, whatever you're interested in, there's going to be, you know, a group of furries who are interested in that exact same thing with you. And because we are so predominantly online, it's much easier to find those people that you connect with. And it's very easy to find basically friends in the fandom. It's just nice because, you know, whenever you meet someone who is a furry, there's always that instant spark of like, hey, I'm a furry, you're a furry, we're both into this thing. And then when you have other interests together too, it's just like, oh man, we're like into so many similar things.
I want to give a big thanks to Floww for being in this interview. He was an amazing guest, an amazing person to just interview with. He was a really cool person. If you do want to check out his social medias, I will leave a link to all of them, or as many as I can find, I guess you could say, in the description down below. Also want to announce I do have Season 3 merchandise now out for everyone who wants to participate in the Season 3 craze that we're having now. So I'll leave a link to those in the description down below as well. But I think that is about it for this video. Again, big thanks to Floww, big thanks to everyone who supported me. Seriously, it means so much. We are getting close to 1,300 subscribers, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I want to give a big thanks for that. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this, as always, be sure to give this a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. But as always, I've been farewell.